Hello everybody and welcome back to Victoria 3, where things are going pretty well for us, with the exception of financially. Financially, not great. We're going to proceed forward for now. Our government petition was, of course, successfully completed. That was at the end of last episode. We finished up public schools. So that's absolutely great. We're going to have much higher education access in theory. What is our current education access? 25? Okay, that's pretty decent. So we can't bring up our education access any further than that right now, but we have crested 50% literacy. So that is absolutely fantastic. Is that a, yeah, that is a high literacy rate is in a recognition progress. So that's absolutely fantastic. So we need to fix our financial issue, right? No doubt about that. We do have 212 authority right now. So that's a lot of authority. We could put that into consumption taxes in theory. The real question I have here is, are we going to be, well, we're not going to tax grain. Are we going to be taxing any of these other things? Well, we can just go down the 100s for right now and grab a couple of these. It's not going to make us a ton of money, but it's okay. We can boost up to high taxes in theory, but is there a point? I don't think so. I think we'd rather have the legitimacy. So for now, we're going to be working on enacting parliamentary republic. This is still fairly slow phases here. That's interesting. We're in a legitimate government 80. I would have expected to have faster phases than this, but sure. Tahiti left the British Empire. Good for you, Tahiti. Okay, so that is absolutely fine. And we know that Wisconsin has quite a large number of peasants, right? If we go in here, 5.57K in Wisconsin. If we check in here, we wanted to build this logging camp, but we ran into financial constraints. This maize farm actually does not have employees. That's interesting. Huh. Why doesn't this have employees? Hiring additional employees would make the maize farms unprofitable due to the price of grain being low. Okay. Interesting. Hudson Bay Company is damaging relations towards us. They're antagonistic. Okay, that's weird. Can they even do anything? We don't have an interest in Canada. Can they do anything? They might be able to do something here. Hang on, we need to check this. So what we want to do is we want to go into the Hudson Bay Company first. And we definitely want to actually go to their diplomacy. And I want to begin improving relations with them. There we go. So they're currently antagonistic towards us. That is problematic. Relations are neutral, so that's not great, right? If we were to establish an interest up in Canada, if we go into the diplomatic lens, there we go. If we were to establish an interest up over here, we are going to get rid of our interest in Dixie for right now and establish an interest in Canada for the moment. Because I want to see what that actually enables us to do when we're both underneath the British. So banking has been unlocked, giving us plus 10% minting and minus 2% loan interest rate. So that'll be useful, but this ball's rolling. There's not a whole lot we can do about that right now. So Hudson Bay Company is working towards getting independent, right? And that's absolutely understood. They are a chartered company. My question is, can they even do anything? Well, we will see. So our interest up in Canada is still establishing. There it is. It's now activated. Okay, so with that done, if we go up to the Hudson Bay Company and we look into the diplomacy here, what do we got available? Yeah, we can absolutely do a conquer state on them. As a hypothetical, if we did this, Britain would be undecided. And would probably side with the Hudson Bay Company. Okay, so that's a problem. Hey, US, do you want to do something about this? That could be a potential problem, for sure. So they don't really want to do a defensive pact. What I'd really like for them to do is request to support independence, and they actually would do that. So let's do that. The US is now supporting independence. So that's neat. And if we were to then go to ourselves here, go into our diplomacy, we're actually at max liberty desire. Remarkable. So if we did this, do we think that us plus the US would be capable of doing this? British Raj is pretty powerful, but they are a long ways away. And we're also predicting that China would join them, which isn't that big of a deal. Obviously, we don't really want to fight them right now. And the Liberty Desire of the Hudson Bay Company is actually going down? Wild. So for right now, we don't really want to fight them. We're just putting some of the pieces together for that, right? That's the concept here anyway. So we're going to have major financial issues if we end up getting into a war. We have major financial issues anyway. Like, this is a very, very tough economic situation to be in. I intended to be much more militaristic than we have been, but we're just not in a position to be able to do that. So unfortunately, that's not going to be a thing. I was definitely intending on going pretty heavily into military and trying to like take over North America. That's not going to happen with what we started with. So that was just never in the cards here, to be honest. We are growing at almost 5K annually now. That's a very big jump. We've grown our annual pop growth 5x at this point. So that's very good. We advanced here. 15% enactment success chance. Yes, please. Bringing us up to a 29. We have a very good chance of passing this at this point. 49% chance of a good roll, 42% chance of a bad roll, 8% chance of a stall. So we're trying to just hold the Hudson Bay Company up over here. Relations are currently going up. That's interesting. We have more progress than they do because of our leader. Huh. That's very interesting. So we can probably stave off the Hudson Bay Company then. So that's absolutely fine. We are delighted by that. Assuming they don't move, like, super quickly, right? That would be the main problem at this point. So we are currently chilling on 8.67k peasants. I'm not a huge fan of that, but there's really just not much we can do about it. We just have to wait until our population grows. That's all we can do at this point. So we do want to get free from Britain. The real question is, we can leverage the US to do that. But if we become free from Britain, then we're going to have to defend ourselves from the British colonies up here, as well as, at least eventually, the United States. That would be a potential issue. So that's understood. Our law enforcement investment has gone up, that's good. And our deficit is going to continue to get worse and worse and worse for now. That's understood. We're paying a crazy interest rate now. I don't know why we weren't paying one before, but we are now, and this is what we expect for being an unrecognized nation. There's nothing we can do to bring that back up. We were fighting to just stay even previously. Like, our finances are awful. Absolutely terrible. So we need to get this parliamentary republic passed. The idea behind that is that, well, we're going to need to change our voting type. We're going to need to change our taxation type. Those are both going to be very important. But once we get Parliamentary Republic done, that will at least help matters. So Fragile Confederation, we're going to need to get off of Chiefdom, and we're also going to need to get off of Elder Council for this. So that is absolutely great. If failed, we would become decentralized, and Ohio would get a settler rush for 10 years. Wild. Okay. The Anti-American League is offering us an opportunity, a foreign investment rights agreement with Russia. Actually, yes. I'm okay with some foreign investment at this point. So, let's see. What would they need for that? That's in the diplomatic actions, right? Request investment rights. They actually wouldn't take it. They have 207 reasons to not take that. Okay. That's a lot of reasons, and there's not a ton we can do about it. This lobby opportunity may not end up happening. We'll see. Ooh, minus 10% enactment time. Done. That's great. So we're very, very happy about that. And of course, we're just going to watch our money slowly dwindle, and that's fine for now. The plan is to declare bankruptcy a second time, once that gets to into default, I was going to say deficit, but no. Default is the term here. So I don't think we can actually do this. Actually, would we have to do the other one? Propose investment agreement. They'd have 160 for this. Okay, so they wouldn't do either of these, but we would want to do grant investment rights, I believe. They have 170 reasons to not do that, so yeah, this is probably not going to happen. We could work on improving relations with Russia, and we may as well for right now. So what do we got going on here? Minus 50 popularity for the leader of the Great Medicine Society? Done. We're absolutely happy about that one for now. Okay, let's see what happens with Parliamentary Republic here. We've got pretty good odds. I think that this is looking great. So 15 days on this. And this will reduce our government legitimacy. That's understood. We'll have to address that. Atmospheric engine has been unlocked. Neat, but I don't know that there's so much we can do about that. We do have a couple of mines, I believe. So we can go to the atmospheric engine pump and produce a little bit more iron. So, I mean, that's something anyway. So that seems fine. And we've got 2, 1, and really an 8% stall. Okay. Well, we're going to take the setback. It's painful. It will reduce our phase time. So that's at 160 days right now. Okay. Man, that was a bad luck roll there. 8% chance of that happening. Oof. Very unfortunate. We still have a very good chance of passing Parliamentary Republic, to be clear. That was bad luck, but it's by no means anywhere near dead. So that sounds absolutely fantastic for now. So we're going to be getting the financial situation here dealt with eventually. We've got a while before we need to declare bankruptcy on this, but we're going to have to. That's understood, and it's absolutely fine. We've still got 3 years on our last bankruptcy. It's not great, but we're going to need to deal with that eventually. So for now, this is reasonably fine, but it's not fantastic, right? We are growing at a pretty decent rate. We've broken the 5K annual growth rate. That's not bad. So we're up to number 215 in the world in population. In terms of literacy, we're number 67. So that's looking solid. And in terms of GDP, we're 183. It's not fantastic. Mostly what we need to do is get our law changes done. But we've been rolling kind of poorly on it. Politics is awkward to start with, but I feel like the politics are mostly broken open at this point, and we can get the law changes that we need done eventually. It's just a matter of time. So for now, that seems reasonably fine, and we shall see how this ends up going. I mean, we're still going to be running a deficit after our bankruptcy at this point. This is just going to buy us a little bit of time in order to get our law changes through. That's what really needs to happen here. So once Parliamentary Republic goes through, we will take a look at what that ends up looking like. Foreign investment rights granted. Okay, Russia wanted investment rights over there, but they're not very interested out over here. This is a Russian-American company? Interesting. Okay, so at this point, we would like to grant them investment rights. And they still have 170 reasons to not accept this, so that's understood. Modernization movement? Yeah, we'll give that additional political strength here. So that sounds fantastic. It will continue to lobby on our behalf for some of these law changes that we really want to see happen. Well, let's see what happens in 25 days here. Do we get another 8% stall? Never can tell. We'll see. How are we doing on filling out our government administration at this time? This is full. Okay, that's good. That means that our tax base is actually going to start growing here, rather than shrinking because of our government wages. So that's a very good sign. I'm glad to see that. That, of course, means that our bureaucracy is going to slowly dwindle over time, and that's understood. Okay, so this was a debate failure. I'm not going to call that the worst roll in the world. We had a 40% chance of hitting debate, and so that was a 50-50 once we rolled up the 40. That was actually kind of fairly likely that would have happened. It wasn't great. It's not super fortunate, but I'm not going to call that one terribly bad luck. That was fair. I mean, so was the 8%, but it's still bad luck, right? So we'll see what happens here. This is still looking fairly likely that we end up passing this, but if we continue rolling like this, maybe not. We'll see. So for right now, we're chilling at 174.6 GDP. I wonder if the US would be interested in investment rights. No, they have 30 reasons only, though. So that's certainly noted. Okay, so the Hudson Bay Company is still antagonistic towards us. They view us as a threatening force in geopolitical affairs. I don't think we're threatening anyone at this point, to be honest. To be perfectly honest. Secession in Dixie. Oh! The Civil War. Okay. So the Confederate Uprising is not... Oh, we're going to remain neutral in the Civil War. The Confederate Uprising is not particularly worried about us. We'll see who wins. This will be interesting. This will be very interesting, in fact. As of right now, it's not looking so great. Oh, Britain actually intervened in this? US versus Britain and the Civil War. Okay. The US is going to get crushed. Well then. That'll be interesting. So in that case, we should probably start cozying up to the Confederates. So I'm going to stop improving relations with Russia here, and I'm going to start improving relations with the Confederates, because I don't really think the US is going to be capable of dealing with this. I really don't. Not both of these at once. So we'll let them have fun with that. I'm sure that'll be very interesting for them. For the time being, Parliamentary Republic is still ticking forward here, and let's see what we get on this roll. Maybe our luck changes on this one. 4, 3, 2, 1, and debate success. Okay, so that just wipes out the last debate failure. So again, that was a fairly likely roll there. We were at a 53% debate at that time, and I mean, that was the most likely thing to come up, and then from there it's basically a 50-50. So, fair enough. We had a mining accident, and let's see, industrialists continuing to gain support? Yes. We want to continue to have our industrialists gain support. They're up to 10% clout at this point. So that's definitely making progress. A foreign manifesto, huh? The liberal movement can get more attraction. That sounds great. So we could have been a lot further in Parliamentary Republic than this at this point. No doubt about that. We had 2 bad rolls and a good roll. So we'll see how that ends up going. Ah, pro-country lobby targeting the US. Authority and technology spread. Okay, so Britain just enforced military access. We are now at war with the United States. This doesn't matter. I'm wondering where this army is going. It's the Army of Observation, so maybe it's not going anywhere. Maybe it's just going to observe. I'm not going to intervene in this war. U.S. is damaging relations. Yeah. And they're not going to last much longer, to be honest. So we see the Americans sending armies over towards this front. We can't stop them. Lower Canada wants to support our independence. Okay. Sounds good. We're not going to go for independence right now. But yeah, that sounds good for now. We're going to see some occupation happening over here. We can't stop them. So we're going to have to rely on Britain to handle that, or the various Canadian colonies over here. So for right now, they just view this as a vulnerable front, and they're going after this, and fair enough. It is actually a quite vulnerable front. Not that we're going to do anything about it. So for the moment, we're just going to continue working on Parliamentary Republic and continue to grow our population. 5.21 now. That's looking good. Okay, and our law enforcement investment went up to 4. So that's a very good thing for us too. Excellent. These guys are eventually going to attack here, right? We're not going to defend this. So presumably they're going to try to attack it. The British have this very under control out over here. This was really, really bad timing for the US. No doubt about that. It's actually catastrophically bad timing for them. So I'm sure that's very interesting for them. But for now, there we go. So the US liberated Liberia, California, and Rio Grande. Okay. So the US still mostly exists. We are out of the war with the US, and the US versus Confederacy still exists too. So this is going to go poorly, I think, for the US because Britain basically crushed them, and now the Confederates are going to overrun them. So we're still interested in boosting up the opinion of the Confederates. That's for sure. Presumably this is the historical, like, pro-slavery setup that we've got going on here. Yeah, they've got the pro-slavery movement here as a pretty relevant political movement. Their current laws include slave trade. So yeah, that's expected. Law debate success, again, on Parliamentary Republic, so that looks good. We're up to 39% success chance. This is going slower than I would have preferred, but it's not too bad, all things considered. So that looks good for now. Our current population growth, 5.25. Nice. That's starting to go up very quickly. That's a really good sign. Our GDP, maybe not so much, but, you know, we do have a good number of peasants at this moment, and there's really not too much we can do about that. So that is very, very sad. But for now, we'll just keep an eye on this situation here. I do expect the Confederates to win this war at this time. And we're working on raising opinion with them. So that looks good. Hudson Bay Company, due to that war, is now cooperative with us. They're no longer antagonistic, so that is a good sign. And Lower Canada is currently supporting our independence. Is the US still? Okay, Lower Canada is nothing. And yeah, the US is not actually interested in that. So we are certainly not going to be declaring this anytime soon. For the time being, this is fine. Completely and totally fine. So the real question here is, will we get Parliamentary Republic passed anytime soon? Well, the odds on this are pretty good at this point. We've got a 49% chance of a positive roll, 34% chance of a 50-50, and a 15% chance of a negative roll. Those are pretty decent odds, but we'll see. We don't have too much in terms of loyalists, that's understood. We're just focused really, really hard on growing our population, and this is working. This is absolutely working. We've more than tripled our population over the course of this game at this point. We started, remember, at like... Did we start at 60k or 50k? It was something like that. So we've about tripled our population. That's fine. We're in another war here. What is this? Oh, the Hormuz Uprising? I don't care. It's already over. Why did you even bring us into that, Britain? Okay, whatever. New South Wales just left the British Empire? Okay. Interesting. I'm not entirely sure what's going on with that one. So we are going to have our bankruptcy here relatively soon. We are spending quite a lot in interest. That's understood. And it's not that big of a deal at this point. We're just letting this drift away. We're using this to buy time for law changes. So we've got 10 days until this roll. Hopefully we see something good here. Only a 7% chance of stall at this point, so I'm delighted by that. And what do we get? We progress to amendment. Okay, fair enough. 38% chance on that. That was actually the most likely outcome. So that sounds good. We'll continue to work on this, but it is about time to put a cut in here, so I'm going to go ahead and do that. And next episode, we're going to continue to watch our pop growth just skyrocket. This is going up very quickly now, and that's a really, really good sign. You can leave your offerings to the engagement gods in the form of likes, comments, subscribes, and bell ringings, and a very special thank you to all of the channel members for making this video possible, including ALS Gamer, Dark Horse, Ethan Feldman, Upper Cumberland Gamers, Nick Smarty, Dimitri H, Punching the Microphone, The Lounge STL, and all the rest. And of course, you. Thank you for watching. If you'd like to support the channel, you can click the join button down below the video, and as always, I will see you all next time.